Here's something that should disturb you. You are living in the most connected moment in all of human history, and yet, right now, more Americans report having zero close friends than at any point since World War II. Not one. Zero. We have supercomputers in our pockets. We have 24/7 access to every human being on the planet, and somehow, we are lonelier than the generations who lived through the Great Depression. This isn't an accident. This isn't your fault, and it is absolutely not just in your head. What's happening to America is a psychological and structural crisis, decades in the making. And once you see the machinery behind it, you will never look at your daily life the same way again. Stay with us. Part 2. The core concept. Bowling alone, the blueprint America ignored. To understand why you feel the way you feel, we need to go back to 1995. That's when Harvard political scientist Robert Putnam started noticing something strange. Bowling leagues across America, which had been packed for decades, were emptying. People were still bowling. In fact, more Americans were bowling than ever before, but they were doing it alone. Putnam turned that observation into one of the most important social science books of the last century, Bowling Alone. And what he uncovered wasn't really about bowling at all. It was about something he called social capital. Think of social capital like a savings account for your community. Every time you wave to your neighbor, join a local club, volunteer at a church, or grab a beer with coworkers after a shift, you're making a deposit. You're building a web of trust, reciprocity, and belonging that doesn't just make you feel good, it literally keeps societies functional. Here's the US-centric analogy that makes this click. Imagine your city is a highway. Social capital is the infrastructure, the bridges, the on-ramps, the signs. Without it, everyone's still driving, but nobody's getting anywhere together. Traffic jams, accidents, isolation at 70 miles per hour. Putnam identified two types of social capital that Americans were hemorrhaging. Bonding capital, the deep, intimate connections with close friends, family, and tight-knit groups, your inner circle, the people who show up when things fall apart. And bridging capital, the weaker but wildly important ties with acquaintances, neighbors, coworkers, and community members, the guy at your gym, the woman you always see at the farmer's market. These loose connections, research shows, are actually more valuable for mental health and opportunity than we ever realized. And here's the gut punch. America has been losing both simultaneously for 50 years. Putnam tracked it across every demographic, every region, every income bracket. Civic participation collapsed, dinner parties declined, neighborhood associations dissolved, church attendance cratered, union membership evaporated. The savings account didn't just slow down, it was being drained. And most of us didn't even notice because the withdrawal slips were disguised as progress. Part 3. The Hidden Side. The 4 silent architects of your isolation. Here's what most loneliness conversations get wrong. They frame it as a personal failure. You're not trying hard enough. You're too introverted. You need to put yourself out there more. That narrative is not just unhelpful, it's factually incorrect, and it lets the real culprits walk free. The truth is, 4 massive structural forces have been quietly redesigning your environment for isolation, and they did it without your consent. Force number 1, the death of third places. Sociologist Ray Oldenburg coined this term for the spaces that are neither home nor work: the bar, the barbershop, the diner, the library, the church, the community center. Third places are where accidental community happens. You don't schedule them, you just show up, and belonging follows. In the last 30 years, America has lost thousands of them, replaced by drive-thrus, online delivery, and content consumed alone on a couch. When the spaces disappear, so do the connections that lived inside them. Force number 2, the car-dependent city. This one shocks people.
Urban planners have known for decades that walkability predicts social connection. When you walk, you bump into people, you make eye contact, you share space. But the post-World War II American experiment in suburban sprawl, highways, cul-de-sacs, strip malls, engineered out the casual human contact that previous generations took for granted. You don't know your neighbors because your neighborhood was designed so you wouldn't need to. Force number 3, the remote work paradox. Remote work sold itself as freedom, and in many ways it delivered. But what it quietly took away was something psychologists called passive social contact. The water cooler chat, the shared lunch, the elevator small talk that felt meaningless but was actually doing heavy lifting for your sense of belonging. Studies post-2020 show a sharp spike in loneliness among fully remote workers, particularly those under 35, the generation that was supposed to be most comfortable online. Force number 4, the attention economy's hostile takeover. Your phone isn't just distracting you from real connection, it's replacing the emotional reward that connection is supposed to deliver with a synthetic, lower-quality substitute. Every notification, every like, every scroll activates a small dopamine release, enough to feel like connection, not enough to be it. And the more you feed the substitute, the less appetite you have for the real thing. 4 forces, all working together, all pointed in the same direction, away from each other.
Part 4. Real-world scenarios. Imagine this. Let's make this real, because data is important, but recognition is what changes behavior. Scenario 1. The remote worker. Imagine it's Wednesday afternoon. You're in your apartment in Austin, Denver, or Charlotte. You've been at work for 6 hours. You've sent 40 Slack messages. You've been on 3 Zoom calls, camera on, smiling, professional. You close the laptop, and the silence hits you like a wall. You realize you haven't actually spoken to another human being in person since Sunday. You text a friend. They reply 3 hours later, a meme and a LOL. You tell yourself you're fine. You open Instagram. You watch someone else's highlight reel of the life you thought you'd have by now. You feel the familiar hollow feeling settle in, and you have no name for it, so you just call it tired. That hollow feeling has a name. It's chronic loneliness, and it's neurologically indistinguishable from physical pain. Scenario 2. The new city transplant. Imagine you moved to a new city for a job or a fresh start. 6 months in, you have colleagues, but not friends. You join a gym, you smile at people, you download Bumble BFF, which somehow feels more vulnerable than dating apps ever did. You go to a rooftop happy hour and make great conversation with 2 people's last names you never catch and whose numbers you never get. You start to wonder if something is wrong with you. There isn't. What's wrong is that adult friendship requires repeated, unplanned interaction over time, a condition that modern American life has made structurally near impossible to meet. Scenario 3. The quietly surrounded. Now imagine someone who isn't alone at all on paper. They have a partner, kids, coworkers, a neighborhood, but every interaction feels transactional. Pickups and drop-offs, status updates, logistics. They are surrounded by people and completely unseen by all of them. This is what researchers call relational loneliness, and it may be the most prevalent and least discussed form of the epidemic, because it doesn't look like loneliness from the outside. But from the inside, it feels exactly the same. Part 5. The rewiring. 5 psychological-backed ways to fight back. Here's where we flip the script, because understanding the problem is only half the work. The other half is building something new, deliberately, strategically, and with the same energy we've been pouring into everything else. These aren't feel-good platitudes. These are evidence-based psychological strategies grounded in neuroscience, sociology, and behavioral research. Step 1. Prioritize proximity over quality. We've been sold a lie that adult friendships need to be meaningful from the start. They don't.
Research by psychologist Julianne Holt-Lundstadt, whose work directly informed the Surgeon General's report, shows frequency and physical proximity matter more than depth, especially in the early stages. Find your third place: a coffee shop, a gym class, a bookstore. Go consistently. Let familiarity do the work that forced conversation never can. Step 2. Embrace the weak tie strategy. Remember bridging capital? Start investing in it intentionally. Say good morning to the barista and use their name. Chat with your neighbor for 90 seconds longer than feels comfortable. These micro-interactions aren't small talk, they're social infrastructure maintenance, and neuroscience shows they activate the same bonding circuitry as deep conversation. Step 3. Perform a connection audit. Grab a piece of paper. Write down every person you've had a genuine interaction with in the last 30 days. Now categorize them. Who energizes you? Who do you only connect with digitally? Who have you been meaning to reach out to? This isn't journaling, it's behavioral mapping. You cannot improve what you haven't measured. Step 4. Weaponize vulnerability strategically. Researcher Brené Brown's work shows that vulnerability is the birthplace of genuine connection. But there's a sequence. You don't open up to create closeness. You open up because closeness is already forming. The practical move is to share something slightly more personal than the conversation seems to call for. Not trauma dumping, just one layer deeper. Watch what happens. Step 5. Replace scrolling with scheduling. Every Friday, send one text, one, to someone you've been meaning to reconnect with. Don't wait for the perfect plan. Say, I've been thinking about you. Coffee sometime? That's it. Consistency beats intensity in relationship building every single time. The loneliness epidemic is real, but it is not irreversible, and it starts right here with you deciding it ends. The question that changes everything. So here's where we land. America didn't become the loneliest developed nation on Earth because its people stopped caring about each other. It happened because the systems, spaces, and screens surrounding us were quietly and profitably optimized for engagement over connection, for consumption over community, for clicks over eye contact. Robert Putnam saw it coming in 1995. The Surgeon General confirmed it in 2023. And if you felt even a flicker of recognition watching this video, if one of those 3 scenarios made you pause and think, that's me, then you already know it in your bones. But here's the thing about social capital that Putnam himself emphasized. It was built before. It can be built again. Not by an app, not by a government program, but by individuals who decide deliberately and repeatedly to show up for each other in the small, unglamorous, deeply human ways that have always mattered most. So we want to ask you something, and we genuinely want your answer in the comments below. Which of the 4 forces, the loss of third places, car-dependent cities, remote work, or the attention economy, do you feel has impacted your sense of connection the most? And what's one thing you've done or wish you could do to push back against it? Read the comments. You might just find your people there. And if this video resonated with you, if you're starting to see the invisible architecture of your social life a little more clearly, then our next video is going to hit even harder. We're going inside the psychology of attachment styles and revealing exactly how the emotional blueprint you developed before age 5 is still quietly running your relationships, your friendships, and the way you show up in every room you walk into. It's one of the most requested topics on this channel, and we did not hold back. That video is queued up right now. Don't let the algorithm decide what you learn next. You do. As always, stay curious. This is Psychology Decoded.